throwing haymakers figuratively. And it was a physical game. Obviously we have great respect for them in this environment and the job that they do. I was really proud of our kids for having great poise and composure throughout. Thought we had a real next play mentality today. Egwu and Abrams, who is leading from a different role this year than the past 2 years, deserve all that credit. I thought Tracy was great in timeouts. I thought that Nana's leadership was huge, really connected our team. I thought Tate was very vocal. We really did a great job of having a next play mentality. We got down early by 7 or 9 points. We had 5 turnovers in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and then finished with 4 turnovers the rest of the way. I thought we really got settled down there. Thought that Nunn and Hill made big plays offensively for us. But maybe as impressive as them making those plays was, I look at the stat sheet and I didn't realize we had a guy 6'11", 250 pounds out there for 39 minutes, guarding, blocking 3 balls, getting 9 rebounds. I've always talked about seniors dying hard, and I thought that he really competed today, connected our team, gave us a great deal of leadership, a great deal of poise. So I was really, really happy for him. So, obviously now for us, the guys get a day off tomorrow, and then we'll start getting ready on Monday for a good Michigan ball club that we play on Thursday. Questions?
John, I was going to ask you about Nana. He hadn't had necessarily the production on the stat sheet in the past couple games that he had today. How big of a boost is that for you guys to get that from him at that
Well,
position?
I think it's huge. I just think sometimes he goes undervalued, Marcus. We talk about that a lot. You guys that follow him, I think, have a great appreciation for him now, especially after 3 years, of what he brings to the table in terms of intangibles and things that don't show up on a stat sheet or box score. And he did that today, plus the box score. I thought he was really, really good, really locked in, had 2 great days of practice. And it's just rare to see a guy that plays as hard as he does with that type of motor at that size and play 39 minutes in a game like today. That's pretty special.
John, what was the explanation, or what did you see on the technical?
Well, obviously I don't have the benefit of looking at a monitor, so I'm going to give them certainly the benefit of the doubt. We had 3 good officials on the game today, great officials, and they were explaining it to me. There were 2 parts to it. One was the foul itself, and then 2, was it dead ball, or is that a live free throw on a one-on-one? The ball is live. I'll find out more. Obviously once I get a chance to dive into it a little bit. Certainly we'll ask the league office, but at the end of the day, I was most proud of the way that we responded from things like that throughout the game, the adversity, and the way we were able to make that next play. I was really proud of our guys.
John, Nana's 9 rebounds, he seemed somehow more aggressive, more like a fighter underneath today. Is that just my impression, or was there something about the matchups?
I've got to do a good job of monitoring his practice minutes, game minutes. Obviously today he played 39, because he's the type of guy that will never, literally never complain about anything. He doesn't have any excuses. He is a culture guy. He is a Illinois guy. Everything he does, on the court, off the court, academics, the way he acts, the way he leads, he's what we want to be about, and he's a no excuses guy. But I'm trying to, he and I trying to get on the same page in terms of making sure he has energy down the stretch here. We did monitor him a little bit in practice the last 2 days, but we've done that. For whatever reason, I agree with you. I thought he had a lot more energy today. He looked like he had more pep in his step, and thought he was very active.
John, the age-old question, foul or let him shoot the tying 3. You faced that today. Could you just talk through that, what you were thinking there?
Well, we talked about it tough, obviously. We've done it both ways. We just decided to guard there. I had confidence in our defense. I thought our defense was good in the second half. And, they're in a half-court situation there where they run some things where they could potentially shoot it right off the inbound pass. And you certainly don't want to have the worst-case scenario where you're fouling, a guy doing that. So some of that may be determined on where the ball was inbounded. But we talked about it. It was a thought for sure. Fortunately for us, it worked out.
I know tough won't ask it, but John.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I know tough won't ask it, but free throws were the difference for you guys, and not for Michigan State. Coach Izzo had said that. How big were those, especially down the stretch for you guys?
They were great. Our guys stepped up. We've been good with them all year, knock on wood. And I think our guys feel very comfortable there. Certainly shoot them, daily. Do the same thing every day. We have for 3 years. And fortunately for us, we have some shot makers. You know, we missed a couple there down the stretch too that, you know, 99% of the time he's going to probably make at least one, you know. But we made some other ones. Malcolm made some big ones there, and you know, fortunately we were able to make you know, at least one of those two there on the last possession with the free throw shooter Hill, because that took it to a 2-possession game.
I want to ask you about the autism speaks thing. Can you speak about that and what your guys' involvement is with that?
Well, obviously our staff was involved. I've known Pat Scarry at Towson for a long time, and you know, he'd hit me with a text and asked me if we would you know, do something to continue to raise awareness for autism. We're certainly not the only staff. I think everybody across America had an opportunity to do that this weekend. You know, both Pat and Tommy Harrion have reached out to staffs to promote awareness. And I think, you know, it's interesting, once you have kids, Marcus, you know, I have a 5-year-old, 9-year-old, then things like that get you right back in the perspective lane, if you will, real fast. And so we're just glad today that hopefully we can raise some more awareness for autism, and hopefully that in turn raises some more money for research for autism.
You talked during this Big Ten season at different times about just trying to get that consistency and maybe trying to gain some momentum. Do you feel like you guys are maybe turned a page or turned a corner or found that groove that you wanted?
I thought today's the most consistent we've been with our effort in the second half, our mental and physical toughness. So that's a step in the right direction. And you know, obviously they earned a day off tomorrow, Shannon, and then we'll prepare Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But hopefully they've learned at this point that just because you did it in the previous game or 5 games ago or for 28 minutes in a certain game, it's not like waving a magic wand and all of a sudden we'll have it again on Thursday. You have to make a conscious choice to be mentally and physically tough and get focused on one play at a time. And I thought that was a big key as I've talked to them about playing more consistently, Shannon. And today I thought we did it at a much higher level with the consistency piece.
John, do you have anything to say about Ray and Aaron and leadership in the huddle and cheerleading on the bench?
Well, those guys, obviously, they were in the locker room after the game. They're as excited as anybody. We're a team, you know, we're a family. You know, that's kind of who we are. The guys were excited, but I told them certainly to enjoy it, but then tomorrow, you know, take the day off, eat, sleep, hydrate, study. I always tell them that on days off. And then Monday, we've got to get back to work and work to continue to get better, continue to improve. You know, we want to be that team that keeps getting better daily.
Last question.
I just want to ask you about Austin Colbert. It seems like, I mean, the last, or for
Yeah,
a couple
sure.
games, he's had some good
That's a
plays
great
late.
question. He made big plays, Shannon, late. I mean, he had the tip in. I thought he defended. I have a lot of respect for Valentine. I think he's a terrific player. And we switched there, and he at least forced him into a somewhat difficult shot, which is hard to do because Valentine's really good offensively. And, you know, I thought he made plays. I was really locked in. I thought he communicated well. You know, he obviously earned the right to play in the guts of the game there, late in the game. And now it's 3 games in a row where I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the positive plays he's made, contrasting that with his negative plays, are clearly more positive in the minutes that he's played in the last 3 games. And hopefully he can continue to build on that because that helps our team.
Okay, we'll have Malcolm,
Thanks.
Malcolm Kendrick and